Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ballin with Bill here at Silent Power Studios. I got a wonderful person here this week that is new head coach out at Elkhorn High School, Dan Feickert.
Yeah, nice to
Did I
nice
say
to
that
be
right,
here.
buddy?
Feickert.
Feickert.
You got
I'll
it.
get
You
it.
got it, Bill.
Punch me from the show's over hitting the therapy. We'll get it done right.
Awesome. No worries.
Hey, it's great to have you here, Coach. You're off to a 3-0 start, right? Correct.
3-0. You got
and you
it.
played Waverly, which was they're
Yeah.
tough as nails.
Friday night. Yep.
I mean, before that they took Scott all the way to the border. So I
Yep.
mean, they're one of the best 1 and 2 teams in the state in my
absolutely.
opinion in Class B.
Yep.
Because they play 2 tough schools. So
Yeah.
now you're an Elkhorn grad, right?
I am 2012. Yep.
So look, tell us how you got started in football and how you kind of come along, and how you end up getting to coaching.
Yeah. So my kind of first experience with football would be when I was a elementary schooler up in Aberdeen, South Dakota. I actually started playing flag football. We didn't have tackle football. So I was a center back in the day. I was a big kid. Moved to Elkhorn when I was going into middle school and kind of got my first taste of tackle football, and a lot of my kind of formative years of football was playing for Elkhorn Middle School and kind of the Elkhorn program. So that's kind of where I got going.
Awesome. So I mean, did you play in college?
Yeah, so I graduated Elkhorn High 2012. I went up to UNK and played for a year out there for Coach Morris, and we'd been coming off some really good years in the RMAC when I played.
Right.
So I played for 1 year. I played safety out there, and then kind of realized it wasn't for me. I stuck around and finished school and loved UNK. It's a great school and great place. And then after that, I kind of made my way back to Elkhorn to teach.
So now, after you graduated from the Lopers there,
Yep.
did you go right back to Elkhorn to teach, or how did you get back there?
Yep. Yeah. So I went right back to Elkhorn. My student taught up in Bennington for actually their old football coach, Greg Bone.
Yeah.
So
Greg, I know Greg.
Greg's a great guy.
Yeah,
I student taught with Greg and had a really good experience. And I knew I wanted to teach back kind of in the Omaha area. So Elkhorn is always towards the top of my list. And then it just kind of happened that there was an opening in a middle school. And I got my first teaching job right back in Elkhorn. And now this year, getting the head job, I'm up at Elkhorn High. I moved up and I'm teaching at Elkhorn High now.
Awesome. So now, when you started at Elkhorn, okay, how did you start out in the football part of it, as far as the coaching?
Yep. So when I first got the job at Grandview Middle School, is where I've been teaching for the past 5 years, and now this is my first year at Elkhorn. But as soon as I got the 8th grade job at Grandview, I think one of my first calls was Coach Wortman. And I went right back up to his room and I said, Coach, I'm going to be teaching here next fall. And if you have any position open or anything, I'd love to be on your staff or volunteer. And he welcomed me back with open arms. And I volunteered for a couple years, and then I was on staff for a couple. So for the last 5 years, I've been on staff with Coach and those guys. So
Now, did you start out on varsity coaching when you first started?
I did. Yep. So like my first 3 years, I was a varsity assistant, volunteer assistant. And I've coached everything from tight ends to quarterbacks to receivers, and kind of worked my way around a little bit. And I've always been helping with the varsity program. So I felt pretty fortunate to get 5 years, under Coach Wortman as an assistant and really get to learn from those guys. So.
Now, when you came full-time, what position or what responsibilities did Coach Wortman give you?
Yeah, so I was kind of receivers coach for the past couple years. I've coached DBs for the last 5, and I still kind of help with DBs and whatnot. I called the offense a couple years ago. It was our second year in Class A, and a couple games into the season, we had just gone to the spread. It was our first year in the spread, and Coach Wortman asked if I wanted to call some plays, so I got kind of my feet wet with that. And then this past season, last year, I was the D coordinator for a year. So
wow.
Coach Wortman asked me kind of the summer before our state title run if I'd be interested in that. And I played quarterback and I played corner, and I always kind of thought I was maybe a defensive-minded guy, and so it fit really well, and I loved calling the D. And coming into this season, I knew I wanted to switch and call the O, but it was kind of hard to let the defense go because I love that side of the ball too. So
Well, let's talk that way now.
Perfect.
Because your defense, and we'll kind of go into some other stuff. But now, defense to me right now it's amazing how much it's improved in 2 weeks when you look at the college, high school, and the NFL too. I mean, 1 week in the NFL, right? You had some defenses that really played well this week.
Yep.
So with the rules today, okay, they've changed tremendously since I
Yeah.
played. They've even changed the last 5 years since you played.
absolutely.
How is it to be a defensive coordinator when 1 week you could face a team that runs the eye at you, off
Yeah.
tackle, zone. Next week you get the triple.
Yep.
The following week you get the spread, no huddle.
Yeah.
Everybody's running all over the place.
Yeah.
How do you adjust that being a defensive coordinator?
Yeah. So last year when I was calling the defense, it's a beautiful challenge every week. Like, we're going to get some of the power teams, like for example, Blair, they kind of like to do a little 2-back package and run ISO out of the spread. And so you got to prepare for that. And then you're going to get the Waverleys that are going to line up double tight eye and pound it, So I think, we've always had a defense that has been able to adjust on the fly. So we still run our forefront, and that gives us the ability to have that extra D lineman up there on the ball and stop some of those power teams. But it also gives us the flexibility that we got enough linebackers and safeties to cover these spread teams. We saw an Aurora team in the state championship last year that just spreads everybody out and looks for mismatches. He does a great job with their formations.
He's the closest thing out west of Bellevue West that I've seen.
Absolutely. And I tell you what, Coach, preparing for Coach Peterson and those guys last state championship was a great challenge. Just for me being a young D coordinator at the time, it was like, what can I do to try and negate some of their stuff? And they still came out in that game and hit us with some stuff that I hadn't seen. It's amazing what those guys get put in.
Now, he does a nice job there.
Yeah.
I mean, he really does.
Yep.
He's done a lot with those kids there and brought them along, and they've gotten better every year. And he played at Nebraska Western, I think, if I remember right. And then, he's always. I've been out there with him a couple times and amazed at what he does with those kids out there, talent-wise, and moves them around and keeps people honest and keeps them in ball games.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
So now, so the game's changed. When you play tackling-wise, what do you teach different nowadays? Because I think that's the biggest thing. Because you still want to get that crown down, but even when I played, we didn't want that crown down, but we still led with our head.
Yep.
Now you get head and you really want to lead with the shoulder. It's kind of almost like the rugby stuff now.
It is.
How does that affect you teaching-wise?
Yeah, no, and one of our big emphases in Elkhorn is that we want to block and tackle correctly, and keep kids safe. And I think the biggest change that I've seen is it's really just been good tackling still done with your feet. You get yourself in the right position, you break your feet down, you wrap up. And that's really what we teach. You want to see what you're hitting. You don't want to ever drop the head. And the biggest thing I think that I've noticed is just we're trying to get our head out of tackles. So like an angle tackle on the sideline used to be get your head in front and run through. You don't want to miss a guy, right? And now it's, hey, let's break our feet, get your head behind, and we're going to roll. Some of the Seahawk tackling stuff that you see. And so the game has changed. But when it comes down to it, it's still, can you block? Can you tackle? Mm-hmm. Can you get yourself in the right position? Can you break your feet down and make the play?
Is there a teaching technique you use different? That's the whole thing is.
Yeah, I think
the angle-wise has changed to me.
Yes.
If you're going to come behind and roll him.
Absolutely.
Timing-wise.
It is, and it's the angle changes, right? Now your angle's a little behind the guy, and you got to be real sure you're taking the right angle. You don't want to miss the guy.
Because then you can miss him completely.
Exactly. So in a way, it's safer for the kids. And that's something we've been teaching for a couple years, and they've done a really good job with it. And the moral of the story is, when it comes to tackling, you just got to get them on the ground. It is. It's a dogfight, and you break your feet,
them down
and you get them on the ground. And so it's kind of funny, but sometimes I coach DBs still, and today we were just talking tackling form, and it's like, guys, break your feet, wrap up, get them on the ground. And the game will take care of itself. Right. But yeah, kids know now. They see the flags that get thrown in college and the NFL, and we're not going for the big hits, lowering your head to decleat someone. It's break your feet, wrap up, and have good form. Yeah.
Technique wise.
Yep.
Now I just think that's the biggest thing that I see changing wise, and boy, the timing of it's changed too. So when you see those missed tackles, it's going to happen.
Yep.
Because they're still going angles, but they're still adjusting.
They are.
And the higher up you go, the better athletes you got. So more timing matters.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So tell me, you grew up in Elkhorn.
Yeah.
Played for a legend. I coached my brother.
Yep.
At UNO when we were playing. He was the outside linebacker coach for Noel Martin. And so what was it like growing up for him and then all of a sudden coaching with him and then replacing him?
Yeah.
Kind of give us some thoughts on that.
Yeah. No, Coach Wortman has had a huge impact on my life. When I think about people that have led me down this road of coaching, it's like when he's one of those guys that ever since I was in middle school, playing at Elkhorn Middle School, and I played in middle school for one of Coach Wortman's longtime assistants, Jim Ock, and so as a seventh grader getting under center, I'm running the same power stuff that I'd be running as a senior in high school. And it's amazing how, when you get that type of a program in place where the middle school programs are running the same stuff that you run as a freshman, the same stuff you run on JV and varsity, it's just when good things happen. I was running a 24 power as a seventh grader the same way I was running a 24 power as a senior. And so it's one of those things that I just saw, and I learned early on what Elkhorn football meant. It's power. We're going to get off the ball. We're going to run the ball. And that's something that, stuck with me all the way through. And playing for Coach Wortman, he's a guy that he's a legend. In my opinion, that he's the best coach in the state ever. I love the guy.
He's an awesome job.
And he's one that he always treats kids, no matter who you are, right? If you sign up to play Elkhorn football, he loves you, and it doesn't matter. And he cared about every kid. And it's funny because I look back on some of the kids we've had come through Elkhorn High School, and we've had some studs.
Yeah.
But we've also had some kids, Bill, that you look at him in the hallway and you wouldn't think that kid could play guard. But then you watch Coach Wortman coach him, and he can play guard and pull around on a pitch and look pretty darn good because that kid knows that Coach Wortman believes in him, and he instilled that confidence in him, and he was the best at getting the most out of every kid that walked on that football field. And that's something that's really my goal. Every time I get a coach is who can we bring along to make this team as good as it can be. So
cool.
Yeah.
So now, what it would feel like when they told you that you were going to be the next head coach to replace him after you just won his another state championship for him?
Yeah. No, it was pretty surreal. It's like sometimes I still got to pinch myself, Bill. The fact that I'm sitting in this chair, right, and that I'm the guy in the head coaching position, and I'm in his classroom. Like, I teach in his classroom. It's just weird.
You're in his classroom too?
I am, Bill. They just literally, it's like,
that is quite something.
Here's Coach
he was in
Feickert.
that classroom. When I was coaching,
yes,
I'd come up and recruit you guys.
Absolutely. Hey,
I'd be in there.
Same spot, man.
Yeah,
Come on in.
Come on in.
No, it's great. I mean, I can't say enough about him, and he's still a friend and a mentor. And I reach out with questions. I mean, Friday night after the Waverly game, I called him, and he was watching it online, and he's excited for us, and he's still a part of it. And it's one of those things that I mentioned earlier today. I was talking to somebody about our Thursday night game, and I always get the question about Coach Wortman. I love it because I always say it's my dream job, and I'm just so lucky to have it. And I'm giving it everything I got, and I'm trying to take, what Coach Wortman built for 41 years, and I'm trying to keep it going and improve in any way I can. And I'm so appreciative of it. And I try and pinch myself every day to make sure that I take it, don't take it for granted.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So you mentioned you were the offensive coordinator and brought the spread in. So
yep.
I want to know, because coach has been an eye forever.
Yes.
3 yards and Coach Wortman's been 3.
Right,
I mean,
baby.
you saw play action pass back in the day. You were like, scratch it. What was that?
I know.
So what was it like putting in a spread? I
Yeah.
mean, that had to be a challenge. I mean, because coach wasn't used to that.
Yeah, and you know what? I can't really take credit, Bill, because I remember the game. It was our first year. We got bumped up to Class A, and we were still in the double tight eye. We had gone to a little bit of some, like, we'll spread out our tight ends, but it was still power, and teams were able to stack the box and stop it. And coach, he saw it, and he realized that our offense was limiting us as a team. And so he actually made the call. It was like middle of the season, and we were, I think, about 500, maybe less than 500. And he said, guys, I'm just really thinking maybe next year is the time we maybe put in some shotgun. And it was like shocking. I mean, Bill, you know what I mean? It was like your heart skips a beat, and you're like, Coach, are you okay? And he was. And the thing was, I could tell it, Coach Wortman never made any changes that he hadn't been thinking about for a while.
Right.
He didn't make any gut reactions. He understood every decision he made.
Yeah.
And that was one he'd been thinking about for a while. And we went out and talked to some programs, Bill, when we made the change. We went to Papillion High.
Coach Sir?
Yeah, we actually talked to Coach Huber.
Oh, yeah, he's a mentor. Coach
Exactly.
Sir.
And so Coach Wortman and him had a good relationship. So that was when he was still there. And we got some of Papillion stuff. We had played him in Class A and liked what they ran. And we actually went out to Grand Island. And we talked out there with that staff. And so I view our offense as kind of like a little hybrid Papillion, Grand Island. We sprinkled in some Millard South. We talked to Coach Long, who teaches at Elkhorn South and coaches over at Millard South. And so we kind of combined, the beauty of it was we combined what we liked from different places and made it our own. And so, we've incorporated more of the zone blocking schemes in the past couple years, but even right at the start, it was a lot of still just man blocking. You guys got these guys, and it's a lot of the best of what Coach Wortman did. And the beauty of it is, it's still power football. It's spread, but when we hand that ball off, we're getting off the ball, we're getting downhill, and we're moving people. And so, I loved being a part of that process with Coach Wortman and watching the evolution as we put that offense in. And, he'd be the first one to say the first year we ran it, we weren't very good. We were learning. It's just a spread offense. It's new. But then last year, was the second year we've been in the spread. Right. And I now looking back, I see his foresight of let's put this in this year. knowing the class we had going to be seniors last year. Let's learn and learn in Class A and get better. And then last year, we're back in Class B and we've got this spread rolling, and it worked out really well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did that do? How did you come in? Because let's be honest, you start out in that middle school, like you said, you're building your program.
Yep.
And you're in that I.
Yep.
So what was it like adjusting your personnel?
Yeah. The nice thing was, when we were thinking about the spread and we started looking at some of the athletes we had on that team last year, like an Aiden Young. He's a great spread back. He can bounce and cut, and that's perfect. And we had some big athletic receivers like Drew Christo and Gannon Gregert and guys we could throw the ball up to. So the nice thing was, as soon as we went to that spread, teams couldn't just roll the safety over us anymore. Back in the I, we had one split and they just throw safety out. Now you got them double covered. And so when we had that spread, and now they got to respect the whole field. And now we really truly had some one-on-one matchups we could take advantage of. And so I think as we continue to evolve in our spread offense, I think I can continue to improve as a play caller, just in where are our mismatch, where are our matchups. And it's different that now we've got 3-on-3 over here. Where's the mismatch? Where's the advantage? Rather than, we're always packing the box and blocking stuff. So it's a different style of game. But the beauty is, we still have our power stuff as we're running this year. We're working on the spread and learning and implementing, and we've had success in both. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
You gotta check this one out. This elephant playing on a teeter totter.
I'll show you the video. Let me find it. There it is. Yeah, look at this video.
Guys, if you don't have anything better to do, why don't you go set up the Raven? We have a coach come in to take a look at it later. The Raven end zone camera is our top-of-the-line end zone camera system. It's easy to set up and even easier to use, and it's trusted by some of the top professional football teams in the country. Manufactured in the USA by the inventor of the end zone camera, this system is like no other. Its self-pan tilt control handle makes one-person operation a breeze. It has been proven for over 20 years to be safe, sturdy, and reliable. It shouldn't take a normal person more than 5 minutes to set up, but with these interns, hopefully they'll be out there all day so we can finally have some peace and quiet here in the office.
Hey, can we get some help out here real fast?
No, I'm not helping you guys set it up. You need to learn on your own.
It's already set up. We just need a lookout right now.
A lookout?
Check it out. It only took us about 5 minutes to put up.
Wow.
Yeah, we're just spying on the neighbors right now.
Ah! No! Oh! No, God! Just as a disclaimer, the Raven and any sideline power product should only be used for athletic events. Do not spy on your neighbor. Please use responsibly. Thank you.
Let's go.
Hey, welcome back. We're back from the commercial here at Sideline Power. Coach, okay, we're talking about now, your offense, all right?
Yeah.
Now, how did you bring that down? How do you add the power game in? That's something I wondered, because when I was at Dana, we ran the spread.
Yep.
And that was the problem I had, is putting that power game with that. How do you accomplish that with the spread?
Yeah, so we kind of have a little two-headed monster, Bill. So, for example, let's go to last Friday night. We're playing Waverly. We know they got some studs up front.
They're a good team.
Yeah, real good team. Coach Manstedt's a great coach, and they've got a lot of stuff going the right way in Waverly. But so we decided, we're going to come out in our spread, just 2x2 set. They play straight man, hard press coverage, and so we knew that if
How many over the top they have? Just one.
They put
they
7
play
in the
Ravens,
box.
huh?
Bill.
Ravens?
7 in the box, and they're man across the board.
It's the Ravens defense.
You
man.
got.
I think they were at 0 the whole night last night.
And that's and you know what? They have success with it
Because
they got great athletes. That can
they
cover
do have
people.
good athletes.
And so we knew we were going to come out in our spread, because we understand that you play that style. If one guy's wrong, it can be a big play. So first play, we kind of run an off tackle, just zone read and get 4 or 5. And then second play, we run a little motion and hit a back out. So now when you're playing man, your linebackers got to cover backs. And we got a zippy little running back that made a heck of a catch and went up the sideline for about 60. And so then we ran, I think, 2 more plays in spread, Bill. And as soon as we got down to the 7-yard line, power, double tight. We got 2 fullbacks and a running back, and now we're just pushing this thing. Let's get 7 yards and score a touchdown. So I think it's nice to have kind of the mix of both,
Right.
because it's weird for a defense. And I was D coordinator last year. When you got a team that can adjust from, okay, we're spreading you out sideways, And now, hey, we're lining up shoulder to shoulder. Let's pound this thing. It's just changing that mentality, right? I think can kind of keep defenses off balance. And it's nice to have both in our arsenal. So
Now, how do you do that practice-wise? Because, I mean, it's,
Yep.
it's different techniques.
It is.
And different personnel.
Yes.
So how do you practice that and prepare yourself for it?
yeah, no, we've got an offensive line coach, Mark Neismer, he's got a lot of experience and he does a great job with our kids. And it's we work as much as we can. So I think kind of coming into each week, we have an idea. Are we going to maybe be able to run a little more power? Are we going to maybe spread a little bit? So we can kind of eliminate some of it from the start. But no, before I came out here tonight, we were finishing up with team offense, and it was we go one kind of down and back in some rip power stuff, and then we switch it up and go spread for a little while. And it's just our kids are awesome because they're smart enough to know a little bit of both. And actually, Bill, one of the big things that Coach Wortman had, and this has been a huge focus of mine, is can we try and keep some of the same blocking schemes in place? Can we keep kids from not having to learn two whole new offenses?
Right.
So especially for those 5 up front, can we have similar calls, similar blocking schemes, so that when we've got tight ends up there, they're doing the same thing, and when those tight ends are gone and we've got 4 wide, they're doing the same thing. So I think we've been able to keep a lot of our stuff pretty consistent, but we've just been able to do more with our skill guys that give us a completely different look.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you're let's talk about your because you were part of it too.
Yep.
When you were young, when your feeder programs.
Yes.
So do you have the opportunity to put this stuff down at that level, and how do you accomplish that?
Yeah. One of my big focuses when I got this job was there's a couple areas I wanted to look to just improve. Coach Wortman's he did stuff so well for so long that I was trying to find any little area to make small improvements. So we kind of got after our weight room a little bit and changed our program this last summer. And then the other area I really want to focus on is just getting a little more middle school involvement. So I met with our middle school coaches at Elkhorn Middle. We've got great guys Coach Holtman, our 8th grade coach, has been there since I was playing. He was my 8th grade coach. So we've had great guys that have consistently been there at the middle school level. And those guys reached out and wanted to put in some of our stuff. So we met with those guys and I gave them our playbook and they've implemented a lot of that in the middle school program, which is nice.
Yeah.
And I've been working, with our junior antler programs, our Elkhorn Athletic Association.
Right, because that's a big feeder for you
Big
guys.
feeder as well. Yeah, they kind of feed all the Elkhorn schools.
Right.
And so I've kind of met with those guys and
How do they handle that?
I tell you what, it's kind of weird because, so they'll take like a 6th grade team and it's like the junior Wolf team.
Okay.
But they've got kids that are coming to Elkhorn High and North. So they kind of, pick one and those kids play together and they do a good job with it, So I try and work with all programs, and we actually had them out for our first home game, our Roncalli game for our middle school football night, and got those middle schoolers excited. And I just try to build relationships with those coaches and kids. And when it comes down to it, Bill, we want more kids out for football. It's one of those things that football's a game of numbers a little bit.
Oh, it is.
And when we get a lot of kids out for football in Elkhorn, good things happen. So.
I mean, how has it been for all 3 of you schools now that you split up?
Yep.
Because that was the thing. I remember when you were just single program, Wortman, I think you had like 200 kids out.
Yeah.
When you talked to 3-4 grades.
Yeah.
But now that you split with 3 schools, I know the area's
Yep.
grown, but what
Yeah.
are the numbers like for your programs there?
Yeah, no, so we're kind of in a spot right now where, we just split last year between Elkhorn and Elkhorn North.
Right.
And Coach Stanley at North's, he's doing a lot of really good things and has people excited over
coach.
there. So right now we're still looking at continuing to try and get more kids out for football. One of my big goals just was our freshman program. How many kids can we get out right now for our freshmen? And compared to back when I played, Bill, when we were just one school,
Right.
We don't have as many kids, but I also look down at kind of our 7th and 8th grade numbers right now, and we're going to be growing the next couple of years. So we'll have more kids coming through than we've had, in the past 5 years or so. And my goal is just, let's get those kids out for middle school football. Let's have good experiences at the middle school level. Let's keep them out for freshman football and keep
freshman
them
year is
out
important.
all the way. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's really important. So tell me about your strength program. Because that's important. When you look at it was important in my life, and you look at the teams that are good, the players that are good. That strength program, and it's adjusted through time, but it's still a big part of what you have to do. And if you get at your school, I'm sure you have multiple
Yep.
sport athletes.
Yes.
So how do you work your strength program at Elkhorn?
Yeah. So one of the things, Bill, we did here this last summer was we actually went out and got Bronson Marsh at Marsh Elite Performance. He came in and he kind of created our program for us, which was really nice. So we kind of changed up how we did things in the past. We kind of had open weight room and guys came in and kind of lifted on their own and left, and we always had a program for them. This last year, we kind of went to more of what you see some colleges doing, where it's a little more circuit based. We kind of get guys going a little more efficiently, and we're telling them, and they've got groups, and here are the 3 lifts you're doing, and you're rotating through them. So it's just, I think the biggest thing we've done, Bill, is just kind of change the look of it right now, and that was my main goal this first year. And I think as we continue to progress, I think we're just going to keep seeing gains. So I thought we saw great gains already this summer from our juniors and seniors, but I think I'm most excited when this freshman crew, is going to be juniors and seniors and been in our weights program for 3 or 4 years, and just really to see some of the growth those kids have.
That's all. Now, what kind of lifts do you still do core-wise for strength?
Yeah, no, so, Bronson, he made us a great program. We're still squatting, Bill. We're still benching. We're still working hang clean. We're adding the thing that Bronson really emphasizes is kind of some of the other movements that are really.
How do you incorporate that in with your strength?
Yeah, so kind of what we did is we always had our little warm-up session, Bill, and then we'd break off into some kind of speed and agility work and some power development stuff. So you got kind of your med ball slams and your box jumps, and then I always had half the group over here working speed and agility footwork, the other half's working power development, and then they switch, and then we get up to the weight room for the last 40 minutes and really bust it. So I just think kind of our overall the way our program looked changed. And obviously, anytime you do something the first time, you learn a ton. Right?
Oh yeah.
So I'm super excited, for this next summer, just how much better it's going to get again. And we hope to keep working with Bronson, and that guy, he runs a really good program and knows what he's doing.
Do you have a strength? Is he your strength coach there, or do you have a person that actually runs your strength program?
Yeah. So in Elkhorn, we don't have like an actual strength coach. It's kind of just falls to the head coaches.
Okay.
So I program, and Bronson came in and helped us program this summer.
You got some help, and that's nice.
Absolutely, yes. And each Elkhorn school does it a little differently, based on just kind of what the head coach wants. So I know even our weights teachers are actually kind of implementing some of the stuff we did this summer, which is nice, just to have consistency for those kids who are busting it and working during the school year. And hey, this is the same stuff we did this summer, and it's it's kind of just teaching those lifts and teaching proper form, and then the weight's going to start going up from there. So.
Yeah. So I back to football here.
Yeah.
Last year, watching Class B and you guys win it all. Talk about that a little bit, because I think Class B is really, and I think this year it's even better. So, but talk about last year, then I want to talk a little about this year, because the teams I've seen out there just have really improved. Other teams that you didn't expect have gotten much better.
Yeah, no, Bill, it's like I look at Class B as like the sweet spot in football in Nebraska. Class A is just loaded with talent every year, and those lower classes are good, and it always seems like sometimes Class B just has some of the best football. Like it's played every year, and I love it, and I'm so glad that I just think Elkhorn, we've been in Class B for a long time, and it's a great fit. And last year, Bill, when I look at kind of some of those programs, you look at the Scuts and Waverly and Aurora, and some of these teams that just have had success, for a long time.
Right.
And last year it felt like there was about 5 or 6 teams that could win it. Bennington and Norris has some just good teams. And so we kind of knew, and this is always our mentality is, hey, we play a really tough regular season. You look at our team, our schedule. I think we had 6 ranked opponents on the schedule when the rankings came out, and that's perfect. Because once you kind of run through that gauntlet, you kind of know where you fall at the end of it. And there's some teams we don't play regular season. We don't get to play Aurora or some of those teams out west that are pretty good too. But last year I think you saw kind of how it was kind of an open door. It was like we were preseason number 1, and Norris beat us right away. Then Norris is number 1, and Bennington beat those. It's just like, and then Waverly was number 1, and we beat Bennington. So it's kind of like everybody was beating everybody, and it was just we were waiting for the dust to settle and kind of see who was going to come out on top. And, and I think when you look back on kind of the end of last year, we really kind of started playing our best football. Weeks 8, 9, 10, and into the playoffs, and that's always the emphasis is once you make the playoffs, it's now who can make the surge and who can get better for 4 weeks and try and win the thing. And that's our mentality. I tell our kids every day, hey, our quote this year, this is a big Coach Wortman thing. He always had a quote, and our quote is day by day. Because I
what
take
was it last year?
Last year was nothing is impossible, Bill, and it's one of those things.
That's the first time you went to spread. You did spread the year before, but this is the first time you let it out in Class B.
Absolutely, and I love the quote because last year we were facing COVID, and it was just we are so uncertain, but Coach picked nothing is impossible last year, and it fit. And this year being my first year as a head coach, and I'm taking it day by day. These kids are taking it day by day, and it's just, hey, how much better can we get today? I'm not worried about week 9 and all of that. I'm worried about right now. What can we do today to get better? And that's our mentality. Is every week we improve, and and hopefully we're playing our best football at the right time of year.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I mean, and let's talk a little bit about this year because I think last year was exciting for a lot of schools, and you finished out on top and played very, very well. But I mean, Scott impresses me. You impress me. Bennington is really they've gotten. I mean, they've improved greatly in the last 2-3 years. And you got Waverly, who's to be the best 1 and 2 team in Class B.
Yes.
And you got Aurora out there, but. You know, I mean, what do you think? I mean, because I think it's really competitive, and I think it's tighter this year than it was last year.
Yeah.
Because so many teams are so close together. Look at these games early.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, everybody's playing each other tough. You know, we go down to Norris in week 1 and get a win at 20-18 over a really, really talented team.
They're good. I mean,
Coach Twarling's got great kids, and that Cooper Houseman's a stud. And, you know, week 2, we play a tough Roncalli team that is going to win some games this year. You know,
they got it. They started with Scott the front.
They do.
Scott to you.
They have a tough start to the year,
They do.
and they're going to win some games. And then we play Waverly Friday, and Bill, it's just one of those things. I think obviously we're going to get a chance to sort it out. You know, I mean, we've played a couple of the best teams, I think, and you know, we've got Blair's a tough opponent this week. You know, we're not looking past anybody.
No, you can't.
You know,
Blair gets you if you look past him.
Yeah, and then down the road, you know, we get Bennington, we get Elkhorn North's going to be tough. We get Scott week 9. You know, so I mean, we're going to get
your last game before you go in the playoffs.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're going to get a play, Bill. I think, you know, we'll see the top 4 or 5 teams. You know, maybe, you know, we don't get to see Aurora, but it's
that'd
one
be
of
the
those
only one right now that I'd say that's not in the top 4 or 5 that you won't play.
Absolutely. So that's kind of like I was mentioning a bit ago is, you know, we always have welcomed a tough schedule in Elkhorn because you're going to get to see the best teams. You know, you're not going to get to go roll people 50-0 and then get surprised in the playoffs. You know, by week 9 we'll have a pretty good idea of, you know, where we're at and where everybody's at, and then it's just who can get it going and play well in the playoffs.
Yeah, because I think those schools that you all talked about there all have some top athletes too. Yes. That are being very well recruited.
Absolutely.
I mean, Scott, you,
yep,
kid out at Bennington.
Oh, yeah.
He's that running back.
He's rushing for some yards.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I think there's some great talent there. It should be some exciting games this year.
Absolutely.
So, as we finish up the show here today, tell me what are your thoughts on this year? Just your overall, how do you feel? I mean, because after this year, you'll probably take a deep breath just because you got to that first year after replacing the legend, and you're off to a good start. And I hope you continue to have a great season. But just tell me how you feel.
Yeah.
What's the season mean to you this first year?
Yeah, I knew coming into this year 1 it's going to be a whirlwind. Since the moment I heard I got the job, you know, I kind of took it in and the work started. You know, I was way back in April, and I hear I'm the guy, and now it's, you know, we immediately started looking at our weights, and we had a great summer, and then it was, hey, now it's, you know, 2-a-days are here and we're rolling, and you know, from there it's just taken off. And I'm just trying to enjoy every minute of it. You know, Bill, I coming into this season, you know, we graduated a ton of talent. You did.
You had a great team.
And we kind of do that almost every year in Elkhorn. You know, we have good teams and we graduate a bunch of guys, and it's time for guys to step up. And, you know, I think through 3 weeks we found that, you know, we do have some guys that have filled into the positions we need to. And, and I think it's one of those things that, you know, in the off season when you're kind of planning and you kind of make some adjustments and you look at the kids you got, you kind of think you know what your team's going to look like. And then you get out there and battle on Friday night, and you really get to find out who they are, you know. And I think my biggest takeaway through the first 3 weeks is just the fight that our kids have. You know, we had our backs against the wall a couple times, and they've responded well, and we found a way on the road twice, you know, in the fourth quarter to put together drives and go win football games. And I think I'm going to keep pushing these guys, and they're great kids, and you know, I have really high expectations, and I know our kids and our community does, and we're going to give everything we got, and we'll see how it shakes out.
That's awesome. Well, I really appreciate you coming out here, spending time here at the Sideline Power Ball with Bill, and we wish you a ton of luck this year. Yeah. And join us Friday night on Boomer Radio from 9 to 10:30. We have a football wrap up, Friday Night Lights, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill.
Appreciate Mark. Did a heck of a job tonight. And we're going to finish. You know, I was a pro wrestler once in my life. We're going to finish right here with the Elkhorn. And here we go, baby. Push! Push!